Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995 Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's nearly Christmas. Oh my gosh, got so much to do. All right, well, we're going to have another very exciting show today. I have a few guests in the studio, and I have my husband, Steve, and I have Dawn. It's always a delight to have you on my show with your interesting questions. And we're going to open up, and we're going to talk about aliens today, as there's so much on the news. And actually, if you get my book and you read it, I wrote this book, I think in 2000 and I'm not exactly sure, 6 or 7. And I talk about traveling to other planets. So it's all in here. I wrote this many, many years ago, but I'm happy to say that the disclosure on the mainstream TV has now come out a little bit more, and also on Netflix. So I don't think people think I'm quite that strange as they used to think when I first started to talk about it.
You want to pick a poem and read it?
Yes, that's a good idea. Okay, here we go. All right, hidden within. I like that. Opened it up at that kind of. Sometimes in the moment of turmoil, we cannot see the light. We must take time and look within. There is the answer. As humans, this is a difficult task. Pain or serenity. What do we choose? Do not judge yourself or others. We then go back to our pain. Look around, think and feel. We are not alone. There is so much help. Look once again to the miracle that we have chosen. Keep going on this journey. Please try to remember. Keep asking for help. It's all around you. We are loved. We are blessed. Do not forget. We will find the true meaning. Do not give up. Seek and you will find. Just to explain a little bit about the prose that I sometimes open my show with. I had no idea what I was writing about. I didn't completely even understand it when I used to read it to myself. But however, as the years have gone by, more and more of this meaning means so much to me today. It's hard to explain, to even say that I didn't know this because I'm writing it down. But it happened to me, just like my artwork, which I have also in my book too. I don't know what I'm drawing or painting, but it does come to me. It comes from somewhere else. So I find that very interesting for myself even, because I did not know. I know more because I've been looking more within myself to seek and find things on this journey. We're all on this same path. So let me open it up now to the studio audience and also to the phones. So please call in. 888-995-4399.
No.
Oh my gosh, because you know what? I'm already there.
There it is, Sally.
Oh, thank you. 888-994-4995, Studio A. Please forgive me because I'm already in my trance. Okay.
And speaking of the book, Sally, and your audience, you can purchase the book for Christmas or Hanukkah just by scanning that QR code or going to authorhouse.com or Amazon and punch in Call Me Zena, Z-E-N-A.
Thank you, Steve, because I don't know if I could have said that right now once I'm in where I am. So here we go. Welcome to the show.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about the journey from within, finding within. Sometimes we feel we know we can do things. We've got the power to do things. We feel confident in our safe space. And then you go out to the rest of the world and they say, no, you can't do this, or you feel like they're here and you're there. How do you stay true to yourself and within your own powers?
Well, actually, that's a really good question because it is scary when but you have to. Well, you don't. I always say you don't have to do anything. But if you decide that this is the journey and the path that you want to take, go within because you get the answers. And to move forward, it's not always easy, but something will drive you to move forward, no matter what it is. For me, even in the beginning, it was just my art. And I started painting. I wrote that down. I did not know it was going to go in a book at that point, but had I have not taken that initial move to move forward, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be sitting here. But because I started my journey, and that I didn't even know what a journey was. I had no idea where I was going, but it's taken me to some amazing places today. So every one of us has that choice. And every one of us, I truly believe, gets the same messages that I do. We just don't open up. I began to open up. And that's the key to this, to believe and to open up, because it can take you to amazing places. And if you feel like writing, I mean, people that write books, authors, look at Frank, who's in the studio here, often in his books. He takes in what he writes. He says he hears things. He's openly said that. So I'm not sort of talking for him. And he knows it's coming from another place, but he took the plunge. That's what they're telling me to do. And he wrote down. And many of his books have come true, what he actually talks about. So we all have this within us. It's up to us. It may not be our time, and I completely understand that. It wasn't my time to open up until I did eventually. That's when I was getting one message after another. And then everything broke loose. It was crazy. So that was also very important. It's
Do you
important.
think that happens? The messages, they come until you can't keep it inside anymore. You have to bring it forward.
Absolutely, Dawn. Absolutely. And it's not, we're all on a journey. And when it's and I often talk about free will. We get guides and we get helpers that are wanting to help us. It's still up to us to make that move, because they can't really interfere with us. And I've heard this many times. As I say, I can't prove any of this, but I have started listening to other psychics today and mediums and channelers, because I'm curious to know if they're saying the same things as me. So we all are on a journey, but we're all in different places on that journey. So if you feel compelled or you want to do something, go ahead. What's the worst thing that could happen? I took a tremendous chance. I said, I'm traveling to other planets. I mean, people picked up my book. I'm sure sometimes I said, I'm not reading this. But today it's become much more people understanding much more. So I'm happy to, I even was then, but I was just worried about the comments. Today I'm not.
So at the beginning of your journey and the beginning of your artwork, much of your early artwork has depictions of alien life or spaceships and things like that. Where did that come from?
Well, I was astral projecting, as you know, which meant I knew nothing about that. So I was flying, so to speak, whether I was on a craft or I was just finding myself in that particular place. I did not even understand it, and I'm writing it down, but I really wasn't aware of actually what was happening to me. But the more that I listen, and many people today many people have been abducted, but they wipe our memory sometimes, not in every case. But I say to people, if they feel that they have and they don't understanding it, be hypnotized, because you can find out where you've gone under hypnosis. I actually had my guide, as you know, Adamir in my book, Aldo, was telling me, and what I was talking about was very accurate to what he had understood. And I believed him 100%, because he found me and so much happened and he taught me so much. So I'm not saying everybody gets abducted. I don't believe that. But I'm not scared, as you know, of anything. So I kind of lost my train of thought now.
Talking about your early artwork and how you began,
Yeah.
and the depictions of alien life and
Well,
spaceships.
one of my beginnings of my artwork was actually of rocket ships in some sort of place. But I didn't understand that either. I was drawing aliens. I didn't know that I had seen them. But, even for me to understand that this was real to me, it didn't make sense in the beginning.
Right.
At
So
all.
we've had many discussions about aliens. In fact, we're discussing it more because it's coming to light with shows on Netflix and yesterday the Travel Channel.
Right.
And when we were in Mexico at Mayan ruins, and as we look at pictures of, say, the pyramids, we both agree that those things could not have been built if there wasn't aid from another source. And
Absolutely. And whilst we don't understand, we have the evidence in front of us. And more and more this is being disclosed, so to speak. I mean, not full disclosure yet. People will begin to question, how in the world did this happen? A lot of these things that we take for granted, they're beautiful, but there's so much more to the pyramids. There's so much more. So I am so delighted that they're actually bringing this up today. I mean, Netflix, as you said, has got a series of coming out of what's going on a little bit. It's been very hush-hush, so to speak. And now it's coming out much more in the open, because many people thinking they're having some sort of a dream, but I believe with myself, definitely, it was astral projection. And I knew that I was visiting other planets. I didn't know how I was getting there, but I know today because I remember so much, even from 18 years ago when this happened. I'm not the only one. There are many, many people that have been abducted. They don't necessarily don't want to disclose the fact, or they don't understand.
So the show we were watching last night on aliens suggested that from 1942, when blips started to appear on radar screens, to about 1952, when they just stopped abruptly. How do you suppose the government has been handling the search for aliens, or have they stopped because the blips have stopped?
No, they haven't. It's still going on, and it's getting far more sightings today because we're aware of it. Going back all those years, I believe it's like 60 years now, 50 years ago, they didn't talk about it at all, so they never brought anything out. But today, so many more people are disclosing so much, partly because they're getting older themselves.
By the way, it was 75 years already.
Oh my gosh, okay. but it was coming out. It wasn't coming out. Today, many, many people are discussing what's happened to them. Whether they believe it or not, they know that something happened to them. So you can be regressed, and you can have someone take you back and find out what was going on. It's real. I can only tell you what I feel. I know it's real, absolutely real. And it's not something to keep quiet anymore. They call it a soft disclosure, and they've had many movies, over the years trying to help people understand that maybe this is real, what they're showing, but they put it in fiction. But the people writing it, I'm not certain, but I'm sure they had to have some idea what was going on.
That's very true. I can't believe that those things came about just out of somebody's head.
Too many people. It's happened to too many people. Many people go missing today. Now they are disclosing that too. Many people find themselves abducted, and they come back, and when they actually because they can erase our memory, they find themselves in a completely different spot to where they were when they first, even in a car.
I'm told that people get abducted with their car, with their animals.
Yeah, I just heard that the other day. I was reading an article on that. Someone had written, I turned on, it wasn't by chance, I turned on a TV program about abductions, but I was very surprised that they can actually take the car with them, because this person had come out that the car was in a completely different spot. And they went, I believe, under hypnosis, because the person that was interviewing them had claimed that, they had been abducted with the car, with a pet.
So my question to you at this point would be, in all the times that you had been abducted, do you have one thing about it that stands out in the forefront of a memory of being abducted?
Yes, I actually do, because I wasn't scared. And the memory is, I remember and I didn't know at the time, I was in a craft, but I've always said that it was astral projection. However, I was abducted many times in a craft. It was it wasn't a round spaceship, but it was a long one. And I've since done research on that to see if there is such things as a longer craft. Yes, there is. So I found out many years later that it was abductions, not just astral projection. So that stands out very much in my memory now.
Do you think aliens have complications if they come to Earth?
They have complications.
Challenges for them to come here?
Yes, they do, because they're coming from a different place. So they can have different things go wrong with them more than, we're used to the atmosphere here. So if you're outside of that atmosphere from where they're coming from, they're going to have challenges when they come here. But they are highly advanced, technology, health-wise, with a lot of different things. So they can overcome it even here, because they know how to treat themselves more than we do.
Why do you think they're coming here? They seem to know way more than we do. Are we learning what we're supposed to be learning?
Hopefully, yes, because they come with much higher technology than we have. I mean, if you think back, and this is kind of evidence, we, over the last 50 years, or 60 years, can you imagine seeing like they have today, these phones, you'd think this was really weird. But this has all happened over a period of 50 years. I don't think without any help that no matter who has done this technology, and we know of a few, obviously, that we would have advanced as quickly. It could have taken thousands of years to get to where we are now. We have had help. Absolutely, we have had help. And they are visited, the people that come. Another thing that happens, which is very interesting actually, someone comes up with an idea or an invention. At the same time, someone from the other side of the world, and this has been proven, absolutely proven, has the same idea of the same invention. How does that happen when they don't know each other? And it's an advanced invention. So we are definitely intervened with. They are coming in to help us.
Do they have a different chemistry than we do?
Yes, they do, because they're coming from a different atmosphere, because there are many, now again, I'm going to make a disclaimer. Not everyone's going to believe this, but they will find out eventually. They're coming from different planets. So even one alien may be coming from one planet, another alien from another planet, and they're different atmospheres. So even they're going to have different problems depending on what planet you're traveling from.
I had heard that one of the reasons that Earth is important to them is that they lack certain natural resources that they're gathering here on this planet and bringing home.
Well, what you're referring to is, and that was one of the first books I actually did, Zachariah Sitchin wrote about this, and it's very known today because it's written in tablets, which we don't completely understand, but they have interpreted the tablets from thousands and thousands of years ago. One particular race of people, and this is well known. I mean, if you listen to the History Station, they're coming out with it right now, much more than they ever did. They came to this planet because they needed gold from their planet. Now, that's a whole different show to explain exactly what had happened. We were intervened at that time, too. They came to Earth, so that's a whole, which we have talked about, so I know you know now from that. But I didn't know until Aldo told me this story, but for me it was absolute validation to where I was coming from at the time, because I'm drawing this that was shown in another planet. I'm showing the signs and symbols and things here, which I've never seen. So to me that's proof that I was intervened somewhere with them telling me what to do.
You have a question, Freddie?
As I've shared with you in the past, was somebody else going to say something?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, Freddie.
As I shared with you in the past that I feel I had one experience with alien life, and it sounds silly to most people, but not to you. And the only time I really think I was in the presence of aliens is they were chasing me, and they were all wearing my brother's pajamas.
Yeah, yes, you had. And I have to be honest with you, Steve. I believe that happened, but I honestly don't really know the answer to that. I believe that maybe you and your brother were both. I don't know, because I don't want to make anything up, and I'm not kind of giving me a clear picture, but we'll discuss that more at home. Okay. So now I think Freddie's ready to ask me something.
I wanted to touch on the basis of the stuff that I've been looking at the last couple of weeks. For some reason, their existence has been kept a secret. Not by them, because if you look at the archives on walls and caves and things of that nature, people have drawn them. People have seen them, and even to today they've seen them. But for whatever reason, it continues to be a great mystery. I was told that there are a selective few, perhaps Sally, you're one of them, that have been chosen and touched and selected with this thing so that you can then inform other people. So I guess my biggest question is, what is it that you want to inform us about, besides their existence, because a lot of people still scratch their heads on that one. What is it about what they do that we need to know?
Okay, so I mean, in some ways, yes, I guess I was chosen to give this message out. I'm not chosen per se as, oh, it's me and I'm grand. And you know, I believe that everybody can do this. But I think I was chosen to talk about this as a disclosure. And the more that I'm learning, the more that I'm even understanding. So for me personally, I think in the very beginning it was very because if this disclosure comes gradually, we get more and more accustomed to the fact that we're not alone. When I first came out with this story, I openly said that I had been abducted. I didn't even understand it, but I knew I had to say something. But over the years, it's becoming more accessible for us to understand this. To me, it was very real because I was drawing, which you've seen, Steve, drawing of aliens. I didn't know what I was drawing, but I'm drawing pictures and they didn't look like they came from here, right? So, and again, I've lost my track. Can you just answer me? This happens sometimes when I'm in this trance. Can you just repeat the end of the question?
Well, I'm looking to try to figure out what is it that we are meant to learn. You know, a lot of people, they talk about the different incidents, the different views, the different this, the different that. But what is the bottom line? I'm talking to somebody who I believe now has a reason that you can see things that other people can't. You can hear things that other people can't. So what is the reason for that?
Because they are helping us, Freddie, and I have had the experience now from them to talk about what happened to me. I don't believe every one of them is good. I can't say that, but I believe that the majority of them are. So from what I have learned and from them helping me to even draw, I'm to talk about them. And what they're doing is they're trying to save us, humans. They're trying to save humanity, the majority of them. So and I just recently watched a little bit of the first season of Netflix of the program where they talked about the animals they were killing animals, drawing the blood out of them and just leaving the bones, or the carcass as were called. But they're doing it, as far as I'm seeing from what they're telling me, also is to help us. We're eating these animals. So they need to know what's in these animals. These animals are, it sounds horrible. I don't even like talking about it really, but they have all sorts of things inside them. So they're trying to find out by helping us. The whole main reason I truly believe that they're, not every one of them, but they're abducting us to find out what's going on with our bodies, what's going on with us. There are other aspects of this where they actually have, they're taken and they have children from us. So they're from here and from there. This is another show too. But I think right now the main objective of them abducting us and taking animals is to find out what's happening in our own bodies. By abducting us, they do experiments on us to find out because we're getting a lot of diseases today, a lot more than actually many people are getting more sick than they used to. We're living longer, but a lot of younger people are actually leaving us. Years ago, going back thousands of years, we lived a lot longer actually, be it on other planets or here, much, much longer. Our lifespan is not that long. So I believe they're trying to help us in every single way that they can by analyzing our blood, by doing this, by having hybrid children, and by taking the animals to find out what they actually have. Because when they eat certain things, it's turning into something. By taking them, and it sounds horrible, and I am an animal lover, so I don't even like talking about this, but they do take them. We've had proof of that.
But Sally, is it me and Steve being able to communicate, or is it me and them being able to communicate? See, what I find so strangely is that we can't even communicate among ourselves. Are they trying to teach us a lesson in that category where we have to learn how to talk to one another? Or are they trying to teach us so we can talk to them?
They're trying to stop us blowing this planet up, truthfully, whether certain people can hear them.
So why wouldn't they reveal themselves then?
They are trying, Freddie. This is a cover-up. And, and I hate to talk about this on the air because there are people listening maybe, but I truly believe, and this will come out, they know so much more than they're letting us know. Partly, let's say, for the good, people would go, there's hysteric, they'll go crazy, so they have to do it gradually. But this is a big cover-up right now. They know a lot, they're helping us. This technology is, I believe we opened the show with this. We've got so advanced within the last 50 years. How do we explain that? I mean, from just a dial-up telephone, even a telephone. Now that we have a picture of ourselves and we can communicate all over the place. If you thought 50 years ago and you showed that to someone, you'd think they were aliens that were showing this to us. But they are, actually. They're trying to advance ourselves and not blow ourselves up in the process. So I openly said that I've been abducted. I have been many times. And I'm curious myself now to know much more. I want to go under hypnosis to find out exactly how much more I actually know. If anybody's listening, they can send me a name of someone that does this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so that I can talk more of remembering what actually happened to me too. It's important.
So why are we important to them? What is so special about us that they want to keep us from blowing ourselves
Well,
up?
that's good, because that's a continuation of what we're just talking about. Because first of all, we are them. That sounds ridiculous, but we are. We're relatives of theirs. They came from another planet. But if we blow ourselves up, that goes into the atmosphere. Excuse me, my voice is still strange. So we affect their planets too. They don't want it to go into the atmosphere, but I think mainly that's one very good reason. The other is they want to help us. Because if we've gone, and that's not the end of us, just so that people are not going to get scared by this show, we still go on. But we can take away this planet, which has happened before. Because if anyone understands and knows about Atlantis, that's exactly what they did in Atlantis times. So I'm not here to scare anybody. You know, my program is a very positive program. But I believe that we need to talk about this. I believe it very much so right now.
Do you think they would be friendly once they come?
The ones that appear, yes, I'm certain they are, because they're here to help us. I can't tell you, and I've said this before, they're not all friendly. But then again, we've got to have balance. But I think the majority, I never came across anything that was scary, ever. So, you know, people say, oh, I don't want to touch that, they scare me. Okay, but you know what we bring to ourselves, just the same as aliens coming down. We're scared of aliens, they're going to scare us.
And the messages that we're supposed to be receiving, do you think it's going to make us more spiritual, more advanced in technology, more humane towards each other, or less?
I believe ultimately, and it's going to take time, we're going to be more humane to one another. Because after all, you know, and people, you hear the expression, how many people say, I love you? But it's a different type of love. We have to have love for each and every one of us. We're nowhere near there. We've got to stop these wars. I mean, common sense. Just turn on the news and you'll see exactly what we're doing to ourselves. They listen to our news. No, this is ridiculous. Excuse my voice. Excuse
You
me.
want to take a commercial break?
Yes, all right. Maybe we will. I'll have some water.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, see you back on the other side of this program.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and a grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital as my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say, what in the world is going on? And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. Again, I just want to mention my book, Call Me Zena. The reason being that I'm actually really talking about it because I explain in detail exactly what happened to me when I was actually abducted, the places that I saw and the people. I documented everything in the very beginning. I didn't understand, as many people I'm sure listening now are not understanding. I didn't understand, but it is here. I documented it as soon as I'd had my travels. I wrote down at 4 or 3 o'clock in the morning exactly where I had been. It makes much more sense to me today. And also my artwork that's in here, which I had mentioned earlier. I did not know what I was drawing, but as my journey has gone on even more now over the years, I'm beginning to, even myself that had done this, I'm beginning to understand more and more from my own work. So I recommend really reading this. You'll understand maybe of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to open it up again to questions.
How do people get your book?
Thank you, because I'm not quite. Amazon or Author House. The code is right there, which will take you to, I believe it's Author House, my publisher, or you can go on Amazon, and there you'll see it right there.
Sally, I have friends that travel, time travel, I guess, or interplanetary travel, and they can choose to travel at night, where they want to go, when they want to go, where they want to go, and who do they see. What do you think about that? Is that real? You can choose and say, I'm going to visit my loved ones who passed.
Absolutely. And what I did learn from Adamir in my book and my guide here, who I called him Aldo, that was his name too, Adamir or Aldo. You can choose. In the very beginning, I did not know anything about these traveling things. But when I came back into, it's an out of body, when I came back into my body, and this is documented too for anybody that's experienced it, you get a jerk as you come back into your body. You feel that jerk. And I said to Aldo, reason I don't want to do this is because I don't like that feeling of getting back into my body. So he said to me, in answer to the question, just say, I don't want that jerk. And I did. I didn't believe it, and I never ever experienced that jerk again. The next few travels, I'm not even sure if I actually documented this, I was flying around my area, my neighborhood. So he said to me, just choose where you may want to go, but don't go into the house, so to speak, because that's invading someone's privacy. So after that, I asked to go to London. I was in London. I saw places that I'd seen, but I was very aware that I was choosing my destination. Then I was curious about planets. So I said, take me to planets. I mean, it's all there. I didn't know I believed this, but I just thought, okay, this is fun. I'll go to other planets. I went to several other planets. So yes, you can choose the time of the day. It doesn't have to be at night. And you can take yourself back. You can go, I recommend maybe laying down. You don't want to be in a car.
Where you go?
Because what's happening? And that's a really, really good question. That's how I can distinguish if it's a dream or an astral projection or an abduction. Because dreams, you forget a lot of your dreams. I can actually tell you from day one, all the places that I had been to, including other planets, everything I saw there, and my conversations. How do you remember that from 18, 20 years ago? Because it's real. You can remember here when you're doing something. In a dream, you forget. Not always, but if you don't forget it, it's pretty sure you've traveled somewhere. It's real.
Or time travel also, you don't know if it's 18, it might have been 1800s, it might have, who knows how long it's been.
Well, that's also a very good question, because there's several clues that we can give ourselves, because you can watch something maybe on History Station, or it doesn't have to be, or a movie where it's telling you what's happening, and that's happened 18 or however many years ago in the past. But you may not, your subconscious may make you dream of that because it's already in your mind. But if you wake up and you have some idea of where you were, but you don't remember the details, you probably weren't there. It was probably your subconscious mind. If you remember every detail of that, and I really mean that, every detail, conversations, what people are wearing, you were there. You were there.
It's like deja vu all over again.
It's deja vu, yes, because we go forward, we can go forward or backwards in time. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, and it happens to everybody, we call it deja vu, right? It's pretty likely that because you remember the next word. So we've experienced, without going, obviously we don't have the time, and it's another program too, to go into detail of that, but we've experienced a lot of what we're doing, because we have what people time travel, we call it. We go into different universes, we go into, a name is kind of I'm forgetting that, but alternative universes. This is real, this is happening. I don't want to get too forward in this because it's hard to understand it, but we're actually not just here. We only use, to prove a point here, only a small percentage of our brain. Where do you think the rest is? It's somewhere. We are actually in different places. Everything's happening now. You know, you hear people say, stay in your now. It's important because we can't be all over the place. If we were, we wouldn't be able to function here.
Well, I got something from watching the special on Netflix. Apparently, we've come out from the sea, and there's a lot of facts that point towards that.
Some of us, Freddie. I mean, I didn't listen to the program, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
So, I mean, even your teardrop being salty, and there are other things that we, for somehow the oceans seem to, at the beginning of time, had us coming out of the sea. And then I look at where the specimens are, and they're still in the sea. So my question to you is, are we the offspring to these aliens?
Absolutely, 100% we are. Yes, we just don't remember. They have a way of, we come into this world today, we don't remember. Very few of us remember where we've been. There are more children being born today, they call them light workers, that have come in actually to help the planet, but basically our memory is erased. But it does happen. We're offsprings. I'm not saying every one of us, but many of us, especially that are advanced, that are even listening to programs like this. They wouldn't be listening to this program. Some people would say, oh, leave me alone. I don't want to listen to, and we'll continue, even when we've got proof of them. They won't want to know. But the people that have that extra interest in what we're doing, they know. They understand that we are offsprings of them. I would even go as far as to say we are actually them from the past, because we are reincarnated. So my way of understanding that is that we are going back into time what happened to them, but the more memory of that, we'll begin to remember that we remembered and we've lived that.
That makes more sense than anything else.
But did you ever wonder the why, the bigger picture of, so if we're offspring of whatever's in the ocean.
Well, you're a mother, right?
Yes.
You have 2 children.
Yes.
You take care of those 2 kids no matter what happens.
Oh, so you think they're here watching over us?
That's perfectly. Aldo used to say to me, and this is so true, they don't want to hurt us. Certain particular ones from a particular planet that have done some bad things here, so to speak. I'm not going to bring up the planet and who they are, but if you're part of that, let's just use that particular one because I'm always talking about the good. There are so-called bad, if you want it, whatever. We are offsprings of some of them. So we remember. Can you? I lose myself when I put myself. Can you just repeat part of the end of that question? Because I got a wonderful message and now I can't hear it.
That we're offspring, and what's the bigger why?
The why is because they want us to remember. They want us to, we're accelerating technology. We need to do that. Now, I mean, I'm not going to get into the conversation of AI too much either, but they have AI. And AI can be good and bad. So they want us to understand that because we're advancing a lot with AI. They need to tell us the pros and cons of AI because AI can get us into trouble. AI can help us a lot. But if we don't understand, it's just one example, if we don't understand it, we don't know what we're up against. So they're trying for the people that can hear this, as I can, and I believe that everybody in the studio here can actually, all four of us. If we listen, then we're ahead of the game, so to speak. So we can help people a little bit or understand what's happening. It's going to take a lot to save humanity, I have to say that too. But if we don't start somewhere and they don't give us the messages, we're not going to be able to do this. But all together as a collective, and if they can tell us what's going on, let's try and understand what we're doing. Take wars. We don't even have to go very far. We're all killing each other. Why? We're on a low vibrational energy, this planet. However, we're very, very intelligent. We've started off this way, and we are our worst enemy on this planet. There are many people today that understand this, but we're so taken away from what we understand by everything else. As Aldo used to say to me, divide and conquer. Well, think about that. You divide politics, anything. It's crazy. Why can't we all come together and begin to understand why we're here? We're here.
Well, if you look at it, I don't think there's anything as an alien. I think that they're a family of them as well, and each one produces a different offspring. There are certain kids that are gifted. At the age of 3, they can play the piano. There are certain people who can do telepathy where others can't write. There are people who are born blind, but they can listen and hear. I think that it's a manifestation of the different types of things that put us on the planet. And I think that the biggest fear, now again, this is my belief, the biggest fear is if you have, I don't want to call it an alienation, if you have a nation of people or things that have put us on this planet, think about all of the changes that would occur. All of a sudden, religion would change. All of a sudden, good and bad would change. Devil and angel in heaven, hell and heaven. All of the different changes that would come about. If you were to tell me that that's the reason why they have to be careful on divulging, who, especially now, because they see that we're growing rapidly in our advancement.
That's why we're going to see more, but they've got to give a disclosure of some kind so that people will say, and maybe if they show themselves, at least they can say, well, maybe this is possible because I saw that on a movie or I heard a documentary. Instead of everybody freaking out, we need help. The main thing is we need help. So technology-wise, they're advancing us, but they can't do it too fast. They've got to do it. They're doing it very fast, the best that they can. But we've also got to we ourselves have to help ourselves. They can only do so much. And again, there are many people that don't, there are people here that don't, I won't talk about it now, but don't want us to advance ourselves. There is a group of people here, and it's mentioned, and people that are listening may know who I'm talking about, that don't because you have control. So with that control, you manipulate. So if I had something that I didn't want you to particularly know because it would not be good for me to be able to do what I want to do, I'm not going to tell you. Or they're going to try and keep it that I don't or don't even remember. I believe a lot of this has been going on. It's been going on since, for years, thousands of years.
Since the beginning of time.
I wanted to say that, yes.
It's funny because they said that the earth was ruled by the dinosaurs and there was some kind of meteorite that hit the earth and created all the death of the larger species of life. Who's to say that wasn't them landing? Who's to say that perhaps what we have to learn is if you take a clay pottery and you put something together with your hands and it doesn't work, what's the best way of fixing that pottery? You get rid of it. You let it destroy itself and start all over again.
Well, that's where we're heading. And this is not the voice of doom, because there are other planets and there is another Earth without getting into that. This information to me comes very easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy with other people, but I still have put my time in to understand this. And because I'm trying, they are helping me. They don't help. If you don't want to know, they're going to talk on deaf ears, so to speak. I'm not praising myself for this, but I have made this my passion. This is my passion to talk about this. So many things are going to happen within the next few years. Absolutely. I think there will be what we call full disclosure within the next few years. I hope it's in my lifetime, because I would love to see that. Just know that anybody listening that thinking, oh, this is so negative for me, it's really not. You need to just understand to learn. And there are many people like myself that do talk about this. It's part of what I need and have to do and I want to do. And if other people, even if they're experienced just a little bit, try to understand a bit more, and your whole world will seem different. There is so much positivity here. Unfortunately, there's so much negativity.
Well, you know, it's funny, Sally, if you were having this conversation with President Biden or President Trump or Putin, if you were having this particular conversation with a head of a country who is known, it would change everything, because you're having the conversation with somebody that has influence on the world.
Well, here lies the problem. Some of the presidents, they are, because it sounds like I'm making this up, but I truly believe that some of them, not all of them, do know what we're talking
They
about.
may know, but they
they're
don't
not
have the
coming forward.
conversation. Exactly. And
So-
anybody who comes forward, what ends up happening, you take Muhammad, you take Christ, you take all of the people they get put down because they don't want you to speak
But
the
we're
truth.
beginning to get close to disclosure here. So hopefully now, however they do it, the government, because a lot of things are going, there is called, and definitely, a secret space program. They made this known in regular, it is beginning to come out. I watch Gaia TV, so this isn't a secret. It's there, and a lot of people
That's
are what they
because-
call whistleblowers.
Because whistleblower is not coming out. Whistleblowers is ratting on the powers that be because they don't come out. It's a big difference.
They don't. But I don't. I think I'm correct here, and even Russ will tell you this. Eisenhower came out with a lot. I think his granddaughter today talks about a lot of this. I believe. I wish Russ was here to back me up on this. But I believe that he knew and did come out or disclose to his family or something. He did know, because they don't know everything. Okay, there's a lot going on that they don't know, but they know enough to say that this is real.
Well, we should take a trip down to South America, Steve, and visit some of the people of the things that I saw, because they invite you down to take a look by yourself, and you determine this thing. And I think it's come time that we start to do that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because they're not obviously scared of coming out with it. But the majority of people hearing, or I haven't seen the program yet, of the interviews, a lot of people are just not going to believe this, but at least it's getting out.
Well, more and more, I believe that you, over the past 20 years or so, have been groomed to get this message out, and your viewership is rising. The shares are going all over the world. You have somebody from Pakistan who writes in today, I'm a big fan, to people from White Plains, New York, and all over the world. So do you believe you've been groomed to get this message
I do
out?
now. You know, before I probably mightn't have said that, but I'm learning, as you know, so much more. I'm retaining this information, not just now because I'm getting it, but I understand more. I'm here for a purpose. Again, I always say it's not an egotistical thing. It's here. I'm here to spread this word. I know much more than what I'm sharing here, and you know that, Steve, and I believe both Dawn and Freddie know too, because I myself can only disclose so much. If I have a conversation and people ask me about something deeper than this, yes, can I go into that? Absolutely, 100%. And you've seen that. You've seen it happen. And this is my job, so to speak. This is my passion. This is what I need to do now. And it makes me feel so good when you're telling me that people from other, not just in America, and I do know that. I know in the UK people are listening to me. That it makes me feel good because
You got someone
I'm doing.
from Pakistan right now.
Yeah,
commenting.
that's
Yeah,
what
that's
he
what I
just
just
said.
said. Yeah.
Maybe Steve, maybe it's time that we start asking those people from all over the country, all over the world, to tell us their story, to tell us why they're a fan, to tell us what do you know, because I have a feeling it is getting closer. And the more logic is put to this thing, it just makes sense. You know, we are sea creatures that come out of the ocean. We just are. That's why salt is a big component of who we are. That's why the ocean is a big component of who we are. And they're in the ocean.
There is a whole world
Yes.
underneath the ocean here. So not all of us, some of us have come from other planets which are around us, actually, or higher up, but a lot have come forward from under the ocean, which is something I could discuss and would love to too, because Aldo had talked to me about this. And they show themselves here. So they've either gone down, let's say, because there was a great flood here, as in the Bible. So during the process of that flood, a lot of them left beforehand because they knew what was happening. Now, this is controversial, but I will come out with it because I've studied this too, that they either went up or they went down to escape the flood. Now, that's not necessarily what we read in the Bible, but what is true, and I truly believe that, there was a great flood. Now, to get into Noah's Ark, I believe there were several, but this is just me. I don't want to lose my audience here in order to talk about things that are more understanding to us. But yes, I do understand all this. I love to talk with people that know or know more than me because I'm on my own learning, you know, this is who I am today. I can't diversify. I will never diversify from this. Do I want to get my word out? 100% yes. For everyone that I help, I'm happy.
And one of the great things about you is that it doesn't take much for you to start to get your message across to the people in front of you, as well as you do it here on the air. You're one-on-one with people who express an interest. Is amazing how passionate you get and how you can go on and on and on to where it wears you out after a while.
Only when I come to, because I'm still getting my messages. Yes, it does wear me out eventually, and I know that I have to also sit back and take note of what I've done and rest a little bit, because after the show, as you know, I'm tired. But it's still worth it. I don't care. I don't care. I need to do this, absolutely. And I'm so happy that this program, which you have watched, Freddie, I'm not sure if you watched it yet, that you can now, even just by watching something else, you're able to, because it's not unusual not to be able to relate, but when you see it on television too, this is so beautiful for me to know this.
Well, it's amazing when the questions that you have start to make sense. When different people, you know, we're not all from the same egg. Everybody, or even that life form has different eggs, different people. That's why so many of us are different in our mentalities and our looks and everything else. And it feels a sense of relief that at least some of it makes sense. And the more that you want to keep it from me, the more you're afraid of the truth, the more it reveals to me that there is truth on this thing.
Perfect.
You know,
Perfect.
as we wind down here in 2024, it's the end of your second year on the air. What do you hope you've brought to the people around the world? What do you suppose they're taking from your message? And what do you hope to continue in year 3 and 4 and beyond?
Hopefully I'm opening people's minds up to understand a little bit, because with a closed mind, and it's not that I'm not telling it happens. That's what we've been trained to do, have a closed mind, but to believe, to be curious, and to ask people, as like myself, who am able to answer a lot of these questions, seek other people that can do that. There are other people too. I'm open to anybody that wants to call into my show, and I will talk to anybody. I love that. But there are other people like me. Continue following this journey. Don't stop. Once you start opening your mind, you'll see so many things, even the synchronicity. Look what's happened between us. We've all seen that. And things that I can give messages of what may be happening in the future. and I see it come about. I've had premonitions, because you open up a whole different spectrum of all these things. Because again, as I often say on my show, you're raising that vibrational energy. And when you raise that energy a little bit, into another percentage or so, you see much more, you hear much more, you understand much more. I'm a very good example of that, because I came in knowing, but I didn't know that I knew. It took Aldo to show me that I came in with this full knowledge from another lifetime.
And I can 100% vouch for that comment you just made, because my vibrational energy has risen to heights that I didn't even know was possible.
Sally, do you think maybe hieroglyphics was their original language that we've deciphered? Maybe it wasn't who we think created it. Maybe it truly was an alternate being, an alternate life form.
Because there were aliens that came down on this planet. There is, and Aldo told me when I went back to London to go into, I think it's the National History Museum in England, they are called the clay tablets. And the story of how they came about and intervened with us here are on the tablets. Just to mention an author that if you wanted to understand a little bit more, that writes completely about this. It was the first book that I wrote, because I was drawing things that I hadn't seen. Zachariah Sitchin. I think one is called The 12th Planet. If you read that book, and you're able, as Aldo said to me, if I was able to get through that was one of the first books that I read, then I'm on my way. I was able to get through it. Not only was I able to get through it, some of the drawings that came from Zachariah Sitchin, I was already drawing. I didn't know I knew this. I'm getting goosebumps because he's happy that I'm mentioning that. He mentioned 2 books, and the other one was another book that I do remember, but I'm not going to necessarily put that on the airways. But the Zachariah Sitchin, yes.
Because I feel like they had their own language. They came, we've deciphered, we've
Yes,
evolved, but we
absolutely.
haven't remembered where we came from.
Well, they came here to help us. They actually came here to help us. Without that information, and we had no other information, we wouldn't even be understanding what we're even talking about. They're still doing that. So I know we're about to come to the closing of the show, but if this show has had meaning to you, and you're intrigued, and as you say, people from around the world now are hearing the show, which to me is wonderful to know that. Just know that you are part of this, that your interest is not just coincidental in listening to this show. It's real. Continue that. As I said, you can write to me, you can email me. I'm on every week. Call in. I'm not necessarily, you say, from Pakistan. Absolutely.
Just tell us your story. Let's find out what they have to
And my book,
to share.
actually, my book is about traveling to other planets. And even now, when I first read this myself, I'm going, oh my gosh, did I write this? But it's real. I am a product of what can happen to you when you start to continue your journey. Open up, believe, fear. Do not fear, because that can take away your feelings of what's happening, and you may not believe it. Don't be fearful. That's hard to say. I am not fearful, as you can vouch for that, Steve. I don't care what's happened. Many things have happened to me. I'm fine. I'm say, bring it on to me. That's fine. But in closing, don't close your mind. Open your mind, believe, and you will hear and see so much. And also at my drawings, I had not been able to draw, but I'm drawing things from different lifetimes. I needed help. I was being banged on the head. Wake up to this. And I did. And here I am. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, to my viewer. And I guess we're in closing now. Okay. Bye-bye. Tune in next week. I'd love to hear from you. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate this. Thank you. You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.